leader of our groups, and let me have a brief introduction of our group members. And I'm Prin. I'm the leader of the presentation. And
I'm Camille. I'm the administrator slash editor. So.
And I'm Caroline. I'm the researcher and the service.
And I'm Jean. I'm the researcher and the editor.
So our group's topic is about education. As we all know, we have made a huge progress since the 13 years reform of both our country's education systems, but we still need a lot of things to do in the segments the 12 5 years plans of the education. Now we mainly focus on the current situation of the education systems. So let's start with a brief interactive. So I will ask some questions about what are the purpose of the education. Could anyone give me a brief answers? Cici?
Okay, so the purpose of education, I think, is to foster the new generation and to make the society have sustainable development.
What else want to give me a brief answer? Leo? Do you have any idea?
No.
You don't know what education purpose of education is?
I think the purpose is focused on individuals and countries. For individuals, is with a fierce competition in our society. I think, especially for young people, they should have a more strong academic backgrounds to fit in the society. And for countries, they should cultivate some talents. Because of this, it can divide the economic more successful.
Okay, thank you for your good answers. And then let's move on our group's members' opinion about that.
So you guys are absolutely right. But we have two answers: career preparation, life preparation, and many other things, including the things that you just mentioned. So to focus on these two preparations, we discover some problems, right, in China. So right now what we're going to do is to propose two reforms in preschool education and vocational education to focus on these two preparation.
So before letting know our plans, I need to talk something about the current situation of China's education now. You know that the education fairness is mainly tops the list of the problems. So that how to provide an equal pursuit of education for all the people pose a big challenge to government. And then it's the exam-oriented systems. You know that during the 9 years compulsory education, all the teachers and parents and students mainly focus on the scores. That means the score is everything. That distinguishes the people from the good one and the bad one. That means if you get a higher scores in the final test or some other kinds of tests, that means the teachers think highly of you, but others will think, oh, you are nothing. And the such situation is that the lack of resources. You know that there's remain a huge gap between the rural and urban areas because a lot of rural places the student in the rural places cannot access to schools or good teachers, and some of them just within geographic areas such as a village. Maybe some village of China didn't have a qualified schools, and they doesn't have good teachers as well. And the last one is the blind spots. That means, as for now, China doesn't have a well-established preschool education systems, and also the neglect of young adults vocational training is also a conspicuous situation. So, in terms of these four backgrounds, we propose 3 to 4 plans about the preschool education section. So move on to part 1 is the preschool education, and we propose we plan about that. We think the preschool education is a strong start for every child because the preschool maybe is the young age of a child is really important. And that was the first plan. Is Caroline will give more details about that.
Well, according to the research and information on the internet, we can see that focus on the financial allocation and policy about the preschool education, it can be roughly divided into 3 parts. And first one is so-called family protection based on government spending. It means the main resource of money is the government investment, but it's mainly aimed at the family protection. What's family protection? It means actually it's really normal in some European countries, especially the northern one, that the children are not forced to accept sexual education in the kindergartens outside. They mainly learn or being taken care of in their own home and or in the community. So in that case, the government have to invest some money to support the family to provide a good enough education for this kind of child. And this chart supplies the distribution of family welfare fund for children in Finland. And I will explain it because it was written in Chinese. And the first one is the child subsidy, and the second is livelihood subsidy, and the most one, the 32.8%, that one is daycare subsidy. So that sort of thing that the government invests to the family protection. And the second one, this pattern actually is not quite suited for the Chinese case, because we all know that if in that case, the women need a lot of time and energy to take care of their own children. But in China, there are a large need for the females to get a job to support their own family. So it's not quite suited for the Chinese case. And the second one is called China education based on government spending. And the main resource of money is also the government investment, but they mainly focus on children education. That means children are supposed to get into kindergartens. Here is an example of British. In 1997, they in order to increase the administration rate for the 3 or 4-year-old children, they established a wide range of financial investment in kindergarten. So in another word, in that period, the kindergarten's number is increasing rapidly. And in the next year, in May, the implementation of the National Child Health Strategy. That means as for children from their birth to 14 years old, there is a well-rounded preschool education support. And the third one, in September, is implementation of the 4-year-old children, child education. That means every children in that age will acquire such voucher, which is about 1,100 pounds to fill in the efficiency of their education assumption. So it's really a large number of money, right? And the third one is called children education based on the private investment. So we can see in the second pattern we have just saw is that the percentage that the government take their preschool education in their own government spending is really large, but it's not the same as the Chinese government. So let's focus on the third one. And there's example of the Korean And we can see that public preschool education institution is only take 6.1%, but the private one is more than 90%, right? So we can see that the public preschool education is mainly invested by government, and they may have strictly selected children. They mainly want the children from the poor family, and in that case, the normal family, or that family which is not that poor may be rejected. So in that case, private preschool education is really important. And there is another example of Singapore. Let's bring.
Singapore has achieved a great private preschool education, and so I found it interesting YouTube clip, and when I browsed the internet, so I will turn that for you guys. This here. That was a day at a Moy kindergarten in Singapore.
I am 5 years old. Every morning, I go to kindergarten.
That was a typical type of the private preschool education in Singapore. And all the students can choose to take the public schools or the private one like this. And the private one provide a diversity of the education system. The teachers and the rooms and the classroom are not a physical one.
My best friend is Rosie. I like to play with her. My partner is Sing Han. He draws very well. This is Daniel. He loves the playground just like me.
So just a brief views about that. You guys can spot that it was featured with the diversity of the educations. So I want to say that China also need to construct a new type of institution. Just take the Singapore practice for reference. We also need to develop curriculum resources such as increasing the diversity of the education and curriculums, and also provide quality and affordable preschools education. You know, the Singapore's preschool education is really affordable, and most of the students and even the poor families can also afford it. But in China, most of the rural area students cannot have access to the preschool education is because they lack the money. So, and the third one is China should also share the curriculum resources and other good practice with the preschool sectors, such as the private ones can communicate with the public one. They can share their curriculums, and it was said that they can make a progress together. So let's move on the healthcare programs, and Jeans will give us more details about that.
So let's look at the preschool healthcare programs. To this aspect, I have 3 ideas. And first of all, the government need to offer more financial assistance. It means, you know that in today's China, we have health insurance almost for everyone, and it's very cheap. Everyone should only pay 75 yuan per year. But it means the government can offer you 80% to 90% of your healthcare bills. But however, you know that the bills is depend on the local financial. In China, some very poor province or the countryside, they cannot afford the too much money. So the government should offer more financial assistance to this poor countryside, and to make everyone can deal with and pay their bills. The second idea is to set up a nationwide medical documents. You know that in today's China, we don't have a nationwide medical documents, and it made many difficulties about the information communication across our province. So it is hard to make everyone have a nationwide medical documents, but it may be easier to make every INFAS has their own nationwide medical documents, and it can help us to make the INFAS have a better medical treatment. And the third one is to improve our domestic vacancy quality. You know that in China we have many free vacancies but their quality is bad, as worse than the vacancies in the USA or Europe. Therefore, many doctors recommend the vacancies that import from many countries, but it is very expensive. So we need to improve our domestic vacancy quality in order to make everyone can have better vacancies to. Yeah.
Thank you for James. Okay. So that's the overviews about the three plans about the preschool education developments. And besides that, we also propose 4 plans about the vocational education development. So let's move on to part 2 of our project. The first one is showing you the right way.
Okay, I believe we all know that in the States, every high school student have a college counselor to help you decide what kind of college you want to attend. But in China, we don't have that. We only have teachers and other stuff. So what I'm going to say here is we like to offer specialized counselors for high school students. The counselors should be familiar with both colleges and vocational training institutions. And second, we like to offer selected courses of vocational skills. For example, cooking or gardening, the ones that are easy to learn, and to help high school students to discover their real interests.
And the next plan is we should add more internship opportunities.
Well, we wonder in Chinese vocational training school, the internship opportunities is much less than the normal university, and it's really a big problem because maybe some people may say once we get into the internship, once we get into the vocational training school, maybe we will not get a job in the future, or maybe we will get a job that's really tiring with a low level salary. So I suppose increasing the internship opportunities is a pretty good solution to this problem, because once we do that, the people will have more confidence in that kind of school, and there will be a mounting number of people who are willing to participate in this kind of school.
And the third plan is we need to modify the matricular requirements. That means at first we should lower the admission standard for students from poor areas. That means we shouldn't be so strict to them, and they are free to go to a school that they want to go. And then we should break the household registration systems. That means even the migrant student can enroll in the schools in the specific areas. And the next one is more vocational training schools.
Okay. In today's China, the government requires that every vocational training schools need more than 60,000 square meters area. So you know that's a very large land, and in today's China, land is very expensive and is much more valuable than financial support. So I mean the government should plan to offer more land to the additional training school in order to make every student can be a chance to enter these schools. And also it's a vacational. I think we should build more vacational training schools in countryside. You know, in today's China, we have many like home school projects in countryside, but we don't have too many vacational training schools in countryside. You know that not every children can be very good at exceeding the test.
Okay, so
And like 1 minute to conclude.
okay, so that's all the plans that we proposed. In terms of the preschool education, we have 3 plans, and in terms of the vocational education, we have 4 plans. All these 7 plans are our ideas about how to develop our education in the next 5 years or next 20 years.
Maybe there's some limitation in the society, such as the economic development of China, or the percentage that the China government give the education. But we hope that in the future, with some adjustment of our plan, it can be put into practice, and maybe in some days it can make the China education development into a higher level.
So that's all our works. Appreciate your asking.